Greetings and welcome to the channel. Welcome to Northworthy Sagas and Stories. Now today I'm bringing something back to the channel which we've not done for 3 years. I'm restarting the Viking Vlog, with this being episode 37. And what we get out of the vlog? Well, it'll be entertaining. You will learn something, and we're going to talk about a few interesting subjects, including what is a Viking, what does it mean to go Viking, Norse or Viking pagan, which is the correct term. We're going to do a channel update, what I've been up to. We're going to talk about the passing of my late father and our legendary channel host, Egil Thorson. We're going to talk about me going back into work for the first time in many years, as I've been a carer. We're going to talk about what do you do when your Viking helmet is too large for your head. And then we're going to end the channel Viking Vlog by talking about how can you help the channel to grow. So that is what you're going to get out of the vlog today. And I hope you're going to find it entertaining. And like I said, this is a new thing, but an old thing for the channel. And you're going to learn something. And this is a very raw, unedited video to demonstrate how genuine we are as people on the channel. And of course, I'm your only host at the moment until TK returns or my girlfriend starts to appear on camera. She's a bit shy, and that's another subject for another day. So enjoy. So greetings. We're now sat. I am in my modern conservatory. No, Vikings did not have conservatories. It'd be really good if they did. But maybe, open-ended buildings where you got not much in the wet sense of walls and a roof. It would be the equivalent back in those times. But what is a Viking? Well, a Viking is somebody that follows the tradition of the North people of Scandinavia. And to go Viking and to be a Viking is a way of life. Although we would, in English literature and back in the times and medieval times, describe them as Norsemen or Northmen. This is where the term Norse comes from, but it describes the area of the land where they came from, the North. And it's a fascinating thing, and I always find it amazing to think that there's probably more Vikings around today in the world than there ever has been. And that is a wonderful achievement and kind of demonstrates the fact that even though the Vikings converted to Christianity, there are more pagans around more than ever. So I think that's quite amazing. But what is the correct term when it comes to describing yourself? Do you describe yourself as a Viking pagan, which often I do, which I know is fundamentally wrong because I should be describing myself as a Norse pagan? I generally do that because of search engine optimization, because let's face it, Viking, the term Viking compared to the term Norse is going to get much larger and better results. So, it's the same with the term Anglo-Saxon compared to Viking, which is why we didn't go down the route of, saying to ourselves, well, we're going to be Anglo-Saxons on this channel, even though I really, really do love the Anglo-Saxons. And I think, in truth, Egil would describe himself to be more Saxon than he would describe himself to be more Viking because of his heritage and the fact that he could trace his family line way back to the 7th and 6th century. And he found that his relatives were Saxon more than Viking. But again, if you get the two terms, Anglo-Saxon, and you get the term Viking, you'll just find that Viking has a bigger search results in the search engines you may choose to look at. So that is fundamentally why we are a Viking channel. And I think also partly because I choose to be Viking in faith rather than Anglo-Saxon in faith, although I do, worship the old English gods like Woden and Thunar. I also appreciate and worship the gods Odin and Thor, or Thord, depending where you come from in Scandinavia, because they've all got slightly different ways of pronouncing, the ways of Thor and Odin. So I find that fascinating, and I think in a further video we will get into depth about the different ways that the Icelandics and the Finnish, the Swedish, the Danish and the Norwegians pronounce those names in Norse and Viking mythology. So yes, so that is fundamentally what is a Viking, and to go Viking is to go raiding, and it's a lifestyle. And a lot of people always compare them to pirates. They were like the pirates back in the day to a certain degree, I would say. And I always find that comparison between pirates of the 16th and 17th century and maybe even the 18th century, but piracy tended to fade away so much in those periods, to the times of the Vikings. So that is a slight bit of information about what is a Viking, and I hope you find that useful. So, who am I and what am I doing here? So I am the channel host, Bragi Magnusson. Got an itchy nose. Why do you always get an itchy nose when you're on camera? It's even worse when, you can't scratch your nose because you're doing something. But anyway, so what is this channel about? Well, we're called Northworthy Sagas and Stories. We started back in the summer of 2017. And before that, I had a gaming channel called Red Devil Gaming MC, which still has a lot of videos on. And at some point I keep thinking to myself, well, perhaps I should re-edit those videos and put them on this channel, because I do have 1 or 2 complete series of gameplay. Would you like to see that? Would you like to see some of my gaming content re-edited and reimagined for this channel? Because it would be quite interesting to do that. And as I said, this is the Viking Vlog episode number 37. And I think the last time I did a Viking Vlog, would be in the garden that way, would be, I think, in 2020, when the height of the pandemic was going on with the old kung flu. You can't really say COVID these days without, you have to be careful. So that was the last vlog we did. And I was on my own because Egil didn't come up during the pandemic so much as he was between 2018 and 2020, or 2019 even. So I thought it's about time we bring back an old edition, because these vlogs were quite interesting, and I'll try to do it for about 30 minutes to 40 minutes, although I could carry on talking for quite some time, but I am limited to the amount of space I've got on my camera, because I just don't have very good equipment these days. Unfortunately, the 2 cameras I had got stolen through some bad people, which that's another subject, and I've still got to address that at some point in the future, so I will do. I don't really have very good lighting systems, don't have a microphone. I could do a microphone to add to my mobile, but I just don't have the money to do it because of the cost of living. I'm struggling to make ends meet as it is. So at some point we will increase and get better equipment, and I'm quite looking forward to getting the Google phone in the future, but I just can't afford to have an expensive contract. And the reason why I'm going to go with the Google phone next is because it makes sense. If you're on YouTube, who's owned by Google, it makes sense to have their phone. And I've heard very good things about it. Although currently we're filming on a Samsung phone. It's a S22 or S23, I forget now, which I was very kindly given by a friend of mine to help the channel out and to help me out, and I'm very appreciative of that, who's a fan of the channel. So what we're being up to. So of course we've gone through all these, trials and tribulations in the last 3 or 4 years, and they have been very difficult for a lot of people. And of course, very sadly, last year my father passed away, and then 12 days afterwards, Egil Thorson passed away, which was quite a shock to me and everybody on the channel, as well as to you guys. But the one thing we're doing on the channel is trying to remember Egil and to have a legacy for him, because me and Egil did sit down at quite a few occasions, and I did address the situation with him being much older than me. What happens, Egil? Or Simon, or Si to his friend, what happens if you pass away, mate? Do you want me to continue publishing your content, or do you want me to stop? And he said, no. He said, I want you to carry on, because it's so important for me as a Viking to have that legacy, and the amount of work we both put involved in the channel, and the amount of videos I have in hand to publish still, which is a good 10 to 15 years worth if I think about it. That was very important to Egil, well, I can't say that, to Egil, to carry on. So that is why every 9th of the month we always have Egil Thorson Day, that little day to remember Egil. And I kind of, thought about what day to have it on, whether it's his birthday, which I think is the 27th of the month in November or October, I forget now, not very good with birthdays. Or I thought, well, do we do it on the day he died, on the 3rd? But I thought that's a bit morbid. So to honour the gods, I chose the 9th, because in the terms of the Vikings and us being Vikings, or Norse, I thought that was quite relevant. So the next one will be this month. I got a video in hand already to publish, and I may put out some shorts videos as well from Egil that day, and it'll be another day to remember Egil, and there will always be a community post. And I have loads of videos from a historical point of view, and I have loads of folk tales from Egil I've not published and edited yet. So over the next 10 to 15 years is my aim, and I'm going to try to get a load edited at some point. So let's say next year I pass away, at least the channel can continue running. But I'm not planning to, because I'm very healthy physically. Mentally, not always there in my mind. I've got a few problems mentally, like a lot of people. I've had a bit of depression. I get a bit of anxiety now and again. Agoraphobia, I've suffered from that as well, because I don't always like to leave my house. That's more seasonal. I don't know, I get to autumn or winter, I just want to stay in. Whether that's a throwback to our ancestral days, where you're less likely to travel in the winter time and you're less likely to go far from your longhouse, I don't know. But I think there is some kind of ancient connection there, that staying within your surroundings and staying within the borders of your land and staying in your longhouse in winter just means you're a bit more safer. And let's face it, in the old days, you've got bandits and you've got wild animals like wolves and bears, and you can get mugged on the road. and it's very much the same these days, apart from there's no wolves and there's no bears, but there's chavs, and there's people that would knife you for a fiver or beat you up, so you have to be very careful these days, and you have to be very wary. So, you know, we live in interesting and trying times. So that's that. And of course, 2023 was quite a big year for me. I've been through a lot of trauma in the last year. I mean, I've had quite a few people that sat me down, you know, people from, you know, Universal Credit. I've been on that a couple of times, and I've had some of my friends just say, you know, just slow down, mate. You know, you got to slow down, and you got to think about yourself for a change instead of other people. And so I've done this. And of course, in the last year, I've met my most wonderful girlfriend, who shall remain nameless because she's quite a private person, but I do hope in the future you will see her on camera when she's ready, but give her time. And she is stunningly beautiful. She is amazingly intelligent, and I just love her with all my heart. So if you're watching this, my lovely, beautiful girlfriend, I just want to say I love you very much. And every day I miss you, and every day is another day closer where we'll be living together and spending the rest of our lives together, doing amazing things on the channel, going to amazing places, visiting historical sites, museums, and going to new countries which we've both not been to. And we do hope to have an international kind of a lifestyle because of various reasons. So that is what's going to happen with the channel. Of course, in the last year, I've also gone back to work, because before that I was self-employed as a content creator, but because I'm not making any money, you get classed by Universal Credit, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's where you go to look for work and you get a bit of money from, you know, the government to help you. I mean, I get something like £4.64 a week, which is hardly a pint of beer in an average pub. Maybe Wetherspoons, I may get 2 pints out of that. There's not a lot of beer for money I'm getting, but I'm still very grateful for what they're doing. And I got a very lovely work coach called Beth, who's very much into Vikings as well. So it's funny, isn't it, how you always end up with people very much like yourself. And I just want to say thank you to her and to a guy called David last year, who gave me a lot of advice, and he sat me down and just, you know, told me to slow down and think about the bigger picture, which I did. So I've gone back to work. I'm not going to tell you where I'm working at the moment because I like to keep that private, but within the last year I can tell you about 2 places I worked at, because I didn't stay there too long, because one, didn't have very nice people that worked there, and the management, like a lot of places, were just rubbish and didn't really care about you. And that was working for a Waitrose Shell garage as a service, a service, you know, attendant. Really enjoyed the job. I think the first time when I worked there on 8-hour shift, I found it a bit overwhelming with the amount of people you talk to, and I'm very friendly, so I will always say, hello, how are you today? Are you having a good day? Or what fuel is it, number 4? That's £17.26. And you know, I fell into the job quite easily, and I really did enjoy that aspect of it. And I'm not going to fundamentally blame Shell, the main business, although I don't really like Shell, because I think they're very greedy. When you look at their petrol prices and fuel prices, and you look at how much they charge in the little Waitrose shops, it's, you know, you got to have a lot of money to go to that shop, and you don't really get value for your money. So I worked for them for a while. Thankful for the wage I had at the time. That was last year, around about October. But just rubbish management. And there's one guy in particular who was a bit of a bully, and I won't stand for bullying. So, you know, I just left because I just got my morals. Then at the same time, I also started and applied for a job at Wetherspoons as a bartender, you know, working behind the bar. But I didn't get that job, but they offered me a job as a cleaner. So I started doing that. And I think I spent about 5 months working for Wetherspoons. Now, Wetherspoons itself is a very good company to work for, because they do pay you well. And I was getting above minimum wage plus 10% bonus every month from my wages. So by the time you come out with your wages, you're earning about £13 an hour, which I thought was very good. Although again, it was limited to 12 hours. Some days, some weeks, it'll be 15. But if you're trying to survive and you pay your council tax and your water rate and everything else, and mine is really expensive because of the fact that I live in a very big house in the top band H. No fault of my own, it's just my current situation. You know, I struggle to make ends meet, and Wetherspoons themselves are a very good company to a certain degree, but the management at where I was working at, and that was at Standing Order in Derby. If you know Derby, you know Standing Order, you know that place very well. The management were just really rubbish, and as a cleaner you got treated like dirt when it came to the other workers. You know, the bar staff looked down at you like a piece of dirt, and I didn't really enjoy that, because no matter what you do in a business, you should be, you know, a part of the team. And they wouldn't even give us a uniform. Like the bar staff would have jumpers and get given, you know, t-shirts and everything. We got given absolutely nothing, and I had to, you know, beg my supposed team leader called Lee, and I hope he's all right. Nice old guy, good worker. Bit of a shit stirrer, if you ask me, but people are different. And one of the reasons why I left the company, because I didn't like the negative atmosphere about the job. And at the same time, I landed myself another job, which is my current job, which I'm not going to go too much about until I leave at some point soon, because I'm about to do a course in the near future in October through Universal Credit. And I won't tell you about what I'm doing, but in the future, when I've started doing that job and I feel comfortable in the situation, I will tell you all about it. So that's been my work experience. And of course, the good thing about working for Wetherspoons is that you do get a free meal every day. So I had a free breakfast, you know, and you get discount on your food and discount on your beer. So discount on food and beer, well, yes, that's really good. And some days I was buying a pint of beer for about £1.12 by the time I got a discount. And of course, that was why I was reviewing beers on the channel, because I was finishing my shift at 9 in the morning. I had my free breakfast, and by the time I worked there for 5 months, I got pretty bored of the breakfast, I must say. And some days your breakfast is very, very good, and some days your food is great from Wetherspoons, but I think it's down to who's in the kitchen at the time, because some of the kitchen staff are just better than others. And some days you get your breakfast, the baked beans will be cold and your egg will be cold. Some days they'll give you 2 slices of bacon, some days it'll be 3 slices of bacon. So there's not a lot of consistency in the food. And of course, I don't really cook food at Wetherspoons, they just heat it up mostly, from my experience. So yeah, so that was also quite interesting. I didn't really appreciate having to get up at 4:30, and one of the reasons why I packed in my shell job was because I was working from, or it'll be 2 in the afternoon until 10 o'clock at night. I was getting home for 10:30, and I'm having to get up 6 hours later to start my next job. So it didn't really give me enough time to rest, to get my breakfast and a shower and relax. And because I got chronic insomnia at times where I don't sleep a lot, I've just found that a bit difficult. But the job I do at the moment gives me a good work balance between running this channel and doing my job, although I'm not earning enough money to make my ends meet, because, you know, my council tax is £230 a month, and I'm paying £120 for my water rate and about the same for my electricity, which is daylight robbery. Although, to be fair, British Gas have been pretty decent, but Severn Trent are an absolutely terrible, terrible company and don't care about you as an individual when you're struggling to make ends meet. In fact, I'll tell you a little shocking story. So last year I was paying £114. This year it went up with the interest rate to £120. So I phoned up Severn Trent and I explained this. I'm ranting now about Severn Trent. I said, you know, I'm really struggling to make ends meet at the moment. Can you offer me any help? And I said, yeah, we can help you. We'll reduce your bill to last year's rate, £114, saving you £6. I thought, oh, great, that's wonderful. That's £72 in total year I'm saving, which for some people, not a lot of money. And feel free to help me out on the old PayPal donation link, which you will find in some of our descriptions. It will help, actually. But so they saved me that money, and then the next month they put the £72 on my bill. So they're not saving the money, and that was very I thought that was totally and utterly dishonest. Like, they said they're going to save me the money of £6 a month and then put it onto my next bill. So I paid, you know, the 114 plus the 72 they saved me. So utterly rubbish company. And I think it's disgraceful the amount of profit these big companies make. I mean, you only got to see how much profit, you know, Tesco's are making, but yet they're now banning cash and money in the shops. I mean, that's ludicrous. They're going to lose a lot of business over that, because a lot of people like money, like to handle the notes and the money in a wallet. Can't quite speak there. You know, like to have a bit of change in the pocket, and it's a very important thing that we keep using money, because if we don't keep using coins and we don't keep using you know, notes, which I don't often see, we're going to lose it. And I watched a few videos. There's 2 channels I've watched recently. I'm going to give them a shout out. One is called Bannerman, and another is called Julian Chambers. And both these guys have gone onto petrol stations and paid with a £100 coin or a £20 coin, which is legal tender. And they had this big debate with the, you know, the petrol stations. Oh no, that's not legal tender. That's just a, you know, a special coin for, you know, remembering and honouring the king and whatnot. Of course, it's legal tender, and they sit outside a petrol station for half an hour. On the occasions, Julian Chambers has been arrested for it, and of course, it's unlawful arrest because it's a civil matter, and then he ends up suing the police, gets a couple of £1,000 out of it, then goes and buys a load more coins and makes more videos, and I find that to be quite interesting. So 2 very good channels I recommend watching, just to have your eyes opened, really. Bannerman is far more professional in the way he films things, but you get that more raw feel with the videos from Julian Chambers, I do believe his name is. So yes, so that's what I've been doing recently. So let's talk about something completely else. We'll go into helmets. Here I have the helmet I brought for Egil Thorson. Oh, when did I buy it? I think I bought this probably in 2019. It needs a bit of a de-rust. I'm thinking about in a live stream soon, about just getting some of my equipment out and sitting in a live stream talking and just slowly de-rusting some of my things with a file or a bit of sandpaper. Because it does need doing. But what do you do when you buy a Viking helmet from eBay or from a place where you can't try it beforehand and it's too big? Let me demonstrate this. My long, lovely blonde hair, which my girlfriend dyed the other day in my car. That's twice now she's dyed my hair in random places, one in a random field and one in my car. So we'll try this helmet on. It's still not blonde enough for me. I like it to be like silver blonde, but you can't have it all. So we'll put this helmet on. Of course, whenever you take your helmet off, you always get bad helmet hair. And of course, a good way to tell whether a helmet's good is the quality of the buckle. This has got a really good buckle, it needs polishing. So we'll fasten this on my head. And in this video, hopefully the strap won't break, like in the last video I did about helmets. You can understand why Vikings and medieval knights had servants, because, you know, it really does help to have somebody to dress you in this gear. But I'm not that rich as a Viking to have people working for me, nor in real life. So just bear with me whilst I try to put this helmet on. I'm trying to find a hole, but I can't find one, which is not a problem I normally have in life. Say no more. But somewhere around here is a hole. Perhaps I need to put another hole in. I can feel it with my fingers. There we go. So I've got the helmet on. I've got it as tight as I can on my head, but you'll see it's loose. I can put my fingers up the side, which is normally an indication your helmet's a bit too big. So what do you do? How do you stop this helmet from moving around in battle? Because, let's face it, you don't want it rattling about on your head. The firmer it sits, the better it is. Well, let's take this helmet off and we can talk about it. So the first thing you could do is you could pack out the inside with some wool. Bad Hair Day, again, from Viking helmets, the original Bad Hair Day. So you could pack this out, you know, wool, you know, like a fleece from a sheep. You could find it on hedgerows, collect it or buy it in a bag. Or you can get a bit of wool fabric and put that in there and try to pack it out. That's one way of doing it, which is not a bad method, but it takes a bit of work. But my favourite method is to get your favourite hat. So, and carefully, without trying to damage these little two brooches. And it does make you think, what is the limit of number of brooches a Viking could wear or a Saxon in his hat? Because you see people these days and they got a hat on and they got like 50 little pin badges on them. Would that happen in the day? Would you see a Viking or Saxon with 20 little brooches on his hat? I don't know, but I'd love to get your opinion on that. So you get your woolly hat, and then you put your hat on, and then again, you put the strap on. Because I'm not going to fasten this up properly with going through the other side of the, or maybe, we'll see. So, again, I'm trying to fill the hole with my finger. So there's one there, so let's go for that one. Or else I'll be there all blooming day, and we're never going to get anywhere. Then I'm going to loop this through this time. So loop this through the next bit. Now you can see already there's a big improvement because this feels pretty firm on my head. And that's good because it's not going to move about. It's not going to flap about and hit my nose with the nose guard and the nasal piece. So yes, it could be a bit tighter on the chin strap. Probably needs another hole put in halfway between this hole and the next hole, which will make it even tighter on my head. But that's already a really good improvement because I can move my head about and it's not travelling too far. So that's my little hint and tip for the day. If you're struggling with your helmet, if your helmet's too big, you can always put a woolly hat underneath. It doesn't have to be a, you know, an authentic one. You can buy a modern woolly hat and hide it under your head if you haven't got time to make one. But taking this on, you know, undoing this little strap, we'll just talk about the hat I'm wearing and why having one of these hats in this style of the Burka hat is so easy. It's just a triangular pattern, sewed up one side and sewed up around the bottom, and literally you can make one of these in an hour. I think at some point in the future, I've always promised this, I will make that video showing you how to sew and make a Viking hat. But of course, a lot of these things always take a bit of time and effort, which I don't always have in my mind and the time scale. So yes, that's what you can do when your hat is too big. And I must say, you know, throughout last winter when it was pretty cold in the house, I used to get home from work and I would put on my Viking kit like this here and maybe this and a hat, and then I'll sit around and start the fire, and I tell you what, I'm toasty and warm in this gear. If I'm sitting in my house in winter time in my modern clothes, my jeans and a t-shirt and a jumper, I'll guarantee I'm cold. But in this gear, keeps you so lovely and warm. I sometimes think to myself, I wonder if I could wear it every day of the year for a whole year in the house. I know, I think I'm a little bit odd if I went to work in my Viking gear And I don't know what the policy is about wearing biking clothes in your job place. I'd love to know what anybody who specialises in employment law, whether that's acceptable, because if those are the clothes you wear and those are the clothes you wear, well, what can they say? Of course, if you get given a uniform, you have to wear your uniform, which I do have a uniform. But I must say, cosy and warm. Of course, if you do wear your biking kit in the modern world, don't go out with your sea-axe or an axe, because you will get in trouble with the police, because you're not meant to be carrying weapons. And of course, something like this is too long a knife. Well, yes, you've got a good reason if you're out filming for your channel. But even so, you know, if you're going to do that at a specific place, I can't always speak, if you're going to go somewhere like a castle and dress as a Viking, just let them know beforehand that you're going to do that, and even just phone 111 or whatever the phone service is, 101, I forget now, and just inform the police that you'll be there for a couple of hours filming in your biking kit for your biking channel, or for whatever you're doing it for, a promotional video for your reenactment group, because it's always best to be safe and sorry, I say. So, yes, so there's that. So, what have we been up to on the channel in the last few months? Well, I keep having a little bit of time off now and again. It's just when I get worn out or I get a little bit busy and I lose my concentration. And then some days when you know, I publish videos and I think, oh, my views are down and I'm not getting the views I should be and I'm not growing like I should be. It can be very disheartening. And YouTube can be at times. It can be a wonderful, wonderful journey. But it can also be heartbreaking, because you think to yourself, oh yeah, I spent a whole day filming that video. I spent hours editing that video. Well, it's only got 50 views. And you think to yourself, well, you know, what's the point some days? But, you know, I'm a biker and I'm very stubborn, so I keep carrying on. And, you know, I partly film these videos for myself because I find myself very entertaining. And I hope you do too. But, of course, we keep progressing with the shorts videos, even though at the moment the short views seem to be a bit down, because it was quite easy last year and year before and over the last 4 years to put a short video out and you'll get 2,000 views pretty quickly. Now these days, if you can get yourself 1,000 views, or if I can get 1,000 views on a shorts video at the moment, in the last 6 weeks, that's pretty good. And I know I get a monthly recap on the channel from YouTube, so I think last month in August I published 27 long format videos, 92 short videos, and I created 16 community posts. And I really do need to concentrate and make a few more community posts, at least one a day, just to keep you guys interested in the channel. And of course it's a good way, if you're not publishing videos, just to keep things going. And at the moment I'm creating quite a few posts because I want your opinions on what we should be doing, what kind of content I should be filming, whether it's story-based content, history-based content, weapons-based content, or dancing around the garden like an idiot in some of these funny meme videos. So there should be a community post out today relating to that, and I've got a few more in my mind I'm going to create. Because at the end of the day, it's your opinions that really matter to me, and it's your opinions that will drive the channel forward. You know, I like to see you guys and girls, and let's not forget the ladies on the channel, hello, because they're so important, and we're not the most massive percentage of viewers. About 9–10% are ladies that watch women, and 90% is male, so we are very male dominated. And at some point we need to try to increase the, you know, the amount of percentage that ladies are watching the content, because that will be really, really useful. I see you guys as being my war council, in the same sense like a Viking would have a war council. I literally do. I like to consider my brother Eirik as one of my members of the war council. I used to consider my friend Tom Dale a member of the war council, but in the last year he's not really spoken to me, despite on numerous occasions trying to contact him. He started a YouTube channel when Eggle died called Eggle's Mustache Gaming. And at some point in the last few months, or this year, it's been deleted. Whether it's, and it said deleted by YouTube. So I don't know really what's gone on there and what he did to mess up his channel, because it was developing, you know, a community of wargaming and demonstrating and showing off his painting, which he's really good at. And I kind of feel sorry for the guy. So if you're watching this, Thomas, do say hello. I know what it's about. I know why he won't speak to me. It's because it's probably been like 9 or 10 months or a year, and he's just probably feels a bit embarrassed about the fact that he's not said hello. Because he said that last time to me, that, you know, it's been like a whole year since I spoke to you last time. I just felt a bit awkward about it. You don't need to feel awkward. You just need to send me a text message or leave a comment on the channel, because I know you've still got your old channel. Just say hello. That's all it takes. A small hello, and we can move on and go and have some beers and catch up, because I'd love to do that. And I keep thinking and toying with the idea about starting a gaming channel myself. I'd love to have Tom as a guest and a host on the channel, but I'm kind of waiting for my girlfriend to get better to move in to do that. So, and I think it'll be a separate channel rather than put it on this channel. I think maybe occasionally, if we talk about Viking figures, we may put some of that on. But, or would you want me to start a gaming channel on this channel? You have to let me know. But, yeah, so how can you help the channel grow? Well, there's a few things. Most people know how to do it. And what you can do is like the videos. The more likes we get, the better we are off. The more you binge watch the channel, especially if you're an old viewer and you've been around, there's a lot of videos to catch up on. You know, do that, please. Binge watch the channel and watch quite a few of our videos. You know, you could also help by sharing the videos on X, formerly Twitter, Reddit, or Reddit, depending how you pronounce it, and Facebook. If you could do those three, share them on those 3 sites for me. You know, if you're a member of a Viking group or you're a member of a Viking page, you know, share some of our videos because I do think they're entertaining. And it gives that modern point of view as a modern Norse Viking as well. And we do go into depth about, you know, axes and stuff like lance axes. So please do help the channel that way. And let's talk about, before we go, the future of the channel. And I've done something very bad there on YouTube. I telegraphed the end, but it's not the end of the video yet, so please keep watching. So what about the future? So whenever I get a chance to go into Derby Centre, or as a friend of mine called it the other day, or somebody on YouTube, he called it Derby Shitty Centre. And I'll probably have to agree there because it's, you know, we got some lovely people in Derby. Derby's full of really friendly people. Whenever I meet anybody from down south, you always say, I can't believe how friendly people are in Derby. And we are, we're very friendly. We will talk to anybody. But we've got very poor councillors and we've got very poor investment in Derby. But things are happening, you know. New venues are being built. There's a new music venue being built in Derby and about to open soon. No idea who's opening it. Somebody famous is going to come, like Oasis. That'd be cool, but I don't think that will happen. So we are getting some investment, but we need a lot more investment in Derby. And I do wonder about my future, whether I'm going to stay in Derby, whether I'm going to move away. I do sometimes think about that, but that's a choice for the future and for the meantime, because I've got a lot of ideas about Derby, because Derby's famous for a few things. We've got a lot of history. And we've got a lot of ghost stories being told about Derby. And we're one of the best places in the country for beer. Yes, amazing amount of people I meet from all over the country who come to Derby. And they say to us, you know, I meet them in a pub and I'll get chatting because I'll talk to practically anybody. I don't go to pubs very often. And he'll say, oh, I can't believe how amazing Derby is for your ale. You've got some real good ale pubs. And we do, like the Brunswick and the Flower Pot and the Dolphin, you know. And we've got 2 Wetherspoons and they have some really excellent beer. I like, you know, the Badminton Arms is a very good place to go, and got some really good bar staff that really do know about the beer, especially one who shall remain nameless, but is a very nice lady. But yes, so yeah, we do have some good history, and of course we're very close to the Peak District, and there's lots of very good history about us. But I do want to, as I can start getting out now with the filming, to go and film, you know, locations. So yes, so and I think just before we go, we're going to talk about AI. So I do produce now and again some AI videos, because what I'm doing with artificial intelligence is trying to target some of the search terms that I've not covered yet, like, you know, some of the famous people from, you know, the medieval times. I don't always have time to sit down and do a long research or write a script and get all the information right. Although I do have to check AI videos and watch them, and it does get things wrong, and then I have to edit that bit out. But I'm also using AI to target these search terms, although most of our videos will come from on YouTube, you know, refer them and we'll put them forward in the feed, and that's where most of our views come from. And I think 90% of our audience who watch our videos are new. So if you are new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe, because only, I think it's 53% now of our audience is subscribed and 47% are not subscribed. So, you know, YouTube is free. And we're always going to be free on the channel. We're never going to have a membership paid like a lot of channels do. I'm never going to make you pay for content. Maybe through something like Patreon we may do in the future, where we just offer like a service where it's, you know, £1 a month or a couple of dollars a month. I may think about doing that as a way to, you know, to help fund the channel, because all of this equipment and helmets and brooches, they all cost money, let alone the equipment you use. And of course, another thing we have to have is a lot of books, and this is one of the Dictionary of British Folk Tales from Catherine Briggs. I get some of my source information for the folk tales, and I'm recording quite a few of that at the moment, because I want to continue that mission, even though at times it's a bit disappointing to see the views on the folk tales because they're not so popular. But I understand not everybody is here for the stories. A lot of people will be here for the history. And if you look at, you know, the most popular content on the channel, whether it's the long format or the short format, you'll probably notice the trend that most of our popular videos are all weapon based. So that is one area in the next few months and the rest of this year I'm going to try to specialise in and try to at least put one video out every day on Viking weapons, because let's face it, I could probably make those videos until the cows come home, you know, until Ragnarok, because there's so much we could talk about and it's a fascinating and interesting journey to be on. So yes, so there's lots and lots to do in the channel. Oh, it's raining outside. Oh, and I just heard some thunder, so no doubt the god Thor, or Thunar, and Hail Thor and Hail Thunar agrees and supports the channel. And the other day, I'll tell you about a little funny dream I had. I had a dream that I met up with Egil. And he said, "Oh, how you doing, Egil?" He said, "Oh, I'm doing great." He says, "I got a really good seat in Valhalla." He said, "The gods are honouring me for what I've been doing on the channel by remembering our Viking and Norse heritage." He said, "I've drank with Thor and I've even met Odin a few times." And I kind of think to myself, that's Egil telling me something, and that he's having a right good time in Valhalla, or as the Vikings will call it, Valhalla, because Valhalla is more of a modern term. I always find that to be quite interesting, and that is something I didn't know until I appeared in that video with Tyr Thorkelsson in a live stream. And I do hope, you know, Tyr returns in the future. And I also love to see Neil Sigmundsson come back to the channel and sit down with me in the future, and we could do some random filming about the Viking Age, because those guys, you know, I got a lot of knowledge, but those guys have got even more knowledge than I have, because they've been doing this hobby as Viking reenactors since the 1980s, you know, 40 years worth or more, nearly 50 to be fair. So, of course, anybody's welcome to appear on the channel in the live stream if you want to do a live stream with me, because I know now we can invite people to join the live streams, and I'm trying to arrange with Sam Stapleton to do a live stream in the future. I'd love to do that. I've got to go on to Facebook, and I've got to send an email to Don Julio, so I've not forgotten Don Julio, and you'll see what's happening in the future with me and Don. It's something very special is going to happen. So I'm not forgot about that. I've just been so busy. At times my mind can be a bit scatty in the sense of it's all over the bloody place. So you know, it's my mental health journey. Ooh, I didn't really wave my hands and go ooh. And then I think Sam Stapleton, I can't say that, Sam Stapleton, is a lovely man. That's one thing about this channel, is that we've got a lovely audience and we are a lovely community, brotherhood and sisterhood of Norse people. But of course, you don't have to be Norse, you don't have to be a Viking to watch this channel, because we welcome everybody and we represent everybody as well. We represent everybody that practices two things in life, that is goodness and kindness. If you practice those two things, then you're always welcome on the channel. We don't like bad people, we don't like negative people, we don't like users and abusers, we don't like narcissists, and I've had my fair share of them in my life. And the best thing you can ever do with a narcissist is just have nothing to do with them, whether they're a friend of yours or a relative. But you move on. As I always and often say in my videos, you guys are my family, and you are. You really, truly are. So that's the end of the video. So if you've enjoyed this video, then don't forget we're Northworthy Sagas and Stories. I often just refer to us as being Northworthy, and I have debated about changing the name. And a part of me thinks, maybe an idea to change it to Northworthy or Northworthy Sagas. And then the other part of me thinks, no. So I'll let you know where I'm thinking about this at the moment, is we're going to keep the name the way it is, because that is what we started as. And that is what we intend to finish as in many, many years from now. And we're going to always be Northworthy Sagas and Stories. And I do have a Northworthy YouTube channel ready to go if you want to add another channel to this whole dynamic. Maybe doing more adult-friendly content, or having a channel just dedicated to shorts videos. But in the meantime, we're just going to put things on this channel because we're trying to grow, and we are growing. We are seeing very good results. But because the more you guys watch, the longer you watch the videos, the more interaction you do on the channel, the more comments you leave, the more you share the videos, the bigger we're going to get, and we will reach a much wider audience. And that's the aim of the game, to reach a much wider audience of millions of people, and to spread joy and positivity across the world, one video at a time. And I think we're blessed to have such wonderful platforms like YouTube and TikTok. We are on TikTok, but YouTube will always be our primary place to put videos out on, because the YouTube has always been number one for me and always will be number one. And I just love the fact that at the moment, you know, these unedited, genuine videos are trending, and hopefully We'll get there as well. So I'm not going to edit this video too much. The old days I may have sat down in front of my editor and watched the old video and cut out every and ah and every time I say something I don't want to say. But I want to keep it to that very raw and genuine feel, because that's who I am as a person. And it takes a long time to edit a video, especially for your mobile. Which I sometimes will now edit these videos through the YouTube Creator app. And I must say, I'm so thankful for YouTube for creating that app. And thank the gods I got a better phone I can use it, because it does make a big difference. And of course, YouTube is a learning curve. I've made so many mistakes on YouTube, you know, and it's been very frustrating when, in the past, when I create short videos, I've not been able to choose the video thumbnail, which I can now if I remember. Occasionally I don't remember and I forget, and I get too carried away, and I publish a video before I've gone and selected the thumbnail icon to go and select an icon, which is why you see these little titles in the videos for a few seconds. That's just the thumbnail for the video. Because it's slightly different with the long format, because I use another app for that called Thumbnail Maker, which is a very good app when you're not having to watch adverts. It used to be no adverts, now they've got adverts. So yes. And if you've got any suggestions for the next video, if you've got any suggestions what you want me to talk about in the next vlog, I was thinking maybe the next vlog I could talk about Hengist and Horsa, or maybe talk about the Viking at Stamford Bridge, because I am in the middle of making a video from the point of view from the guy on Stamford Bridge with the Dane-axe, because I think that would be quite fascinating. And even I randomly made a song up about him, but I didn't record it, and it was a very good little song as well. Oh, never mind. So it's goodbye from me, and I thank you to the bottom of my heart for watching this video. And if you got this far in the video, you're just utterly and utterly amazingly awesome. Oh yes. Goodbye. That's me now going to stop the video with my magic finger. It's the magic finger. It's the magic finger that ends the video.